So, a huge problem with recycling in many, many ways is that it isn't material generalized. It's very material specific. Recycle metals, totally different than recycle plastics, and each metal is different, each plastic is different. And then you want a pure product for people to use in the design stuff. You don't want to mistake mix aluminum and steel because they have very different properties. But a lot of things we have in the modern day world have a wide variety of mixes of different materials and stuff within them, making this very, very difficult. So I am trying to talk about ways here to get around that and make it more cheap because this could be some of the most important stuff to make the future more sustainable. And one of my first idea is a recycler robot. What I mean by this is a robot that is better at sorting out materials, for example. Another idea is a robot that is better at breaking stuff apart. It takes stuff apart, it tears it apart, it rebuilds it. Another one is just handles material instead of human beings. It turns parts like moves from one place to another place. So human beings have less stress and it's less dangerous because recycling can be a dangerous process because you're exposed to a lot of trash. There's a variety of sensors we could use to incorporate to make this better than a human being. One is you can have cameras, but now we can have cameras that can be better than the human eye. They can see a wide range of colors and spectrums. They can zoom in more or zoom out more. They can we can add lasers and stuff for like fancy colorimetrics and stuff like that, and lasers to see how stuff glows or flashes, or fancy lights for fancier tests. You can have magnetic sensors and magnets to see if something is metal or not. Fancy pressure and touch sensors to weigh stuff more accurately. Maybe even chemical nose sensors in the future, even that's a little more far out. Except for if you're burning or heating up stuff, which some other processes I'm talking about might do. So then you get into it. Another one is to have a whole shift in people's mentality and tell people to better sort out things, first of all, when they put in recycling, which would be more of a societal change. Or you can make it so people value better sorting it, products that are more sortable or have different values in place to lead them to buying and consuming products in a better manner for this. There are some programs that have mild success already that kind of do this. One example would be some places that you can pay, they pay money for people to drop off certain cans or glasses to recycle. There's certain volunteering programs. There's just channels and stuff talking about it. But I think a big part of it missing is that we don't see the impact of these things. When we don't see the impact, we don't feel that it's good. So recycling also was more effective, and more stuff was recycled actually made a meaningful difference. Since a lot of recycled materials end up in landfills or in foreign countries where they hurt the native population and then end up in landfills or recycling the very polluting processes. Maybe people are more likely to recycle. That's just an idea I'm throwing out there. We could also have people, if people have more time off or something, maybe they would recycle more of this design trash days. Another idea to get around everything is to have an extractor to that extract certain chemicals from stuff using a solvent. And that one could be like, some examples would be like um, supercritical CO2, which is like CO2 in a weird state that's in between solid and gas, but it's not liquid, or some other ones, can actually dissolve a lot of plastics and stuff. And then we can remove it from material, leaving behind metal and other inorganic things. There are other solvents that can be used. whether it's hard for a human being to do it, or maybe a device could do it that sends it in. And then you can use a solvent to also better separate out the plastics afterwards, by having it go through like chromatography, distillation, pumps and stuff that move stuff at different speeds. Another one, kind of on this whole thing, so you don't have to separate out and sort out the materials as much, is to make sure that people buy less goods in the first place. And if we have people buy less goods in the first place and use less goods, well, then there's less stuff to recycle, and then sorting out becomes more easily because it's less of a big problem, as you can focus more down on the amount of items. Or if items were less diverse in some ways, that could also make this whole problem just a little bit easier. Again, not perfect. Another way around this whole thing maybe is burning everything, which may sound awful, but let's talk about it in little things. Recycling is probably going to be more efficient if we can do it well. And it probably releases less CO2 and stuff, and we get rid of the awful mining practices. But burning is not as bad as it sounds like, because methane and a lot of other chemicals that give off by stuff as it decays or breaks down can be 50 to thousands times more potent greenhouse gas and pollutant than CO2. Now, CO2 with new processes like the STEP process can be actually turned into a useful product. And that useful product is common nanotubes and stuff like that. So burning might be in some cases an efficient way, and then you don't have to sort out stuff as much, because you just burn it all away. Now, you can't burn metals and stuff, so they will be left behind, and maybe they'll be recycled by a different process after being heated up. Another way that's a little bit more intermediate is to not burn it as much, but turn it into a gas or liquid by superheating up. And then the organic stuff you can just take off by this liquid or gas form, and figure out other ways of using it. Another kind of way that's a little bit more out there is something I'm going to call biouptake. But there's plants that uptake certain things, nutrients, and can concentrate metals, and so metals or inorganic compounds that then you can extract from them and use and recycle. But plants are not the only ones that can do this. There's also a bunch of fungi that can do it. There is also, beyond plants, there's also bacteria. So you have bacteria and protists. Now, and there's even a little bit of like bugs and insects. Now you can even design a whole ecosystem where you grow plants, and these plants help break down the organic materials and reabsorb some of the inorganic metals and stuff. Then you have fungi that decay the plants, and turn the plants into better nutrients for this whole ecosystem, but concentrated again another time all this stuff, and then you extract it from the fungi at an even higher concentration. This won't be useful for like really big metals like iron and stuff. For trace metals that you need very little bit, like lead, like a little bit of lead in materials, getting that out, a little bit of gold and computer chips, stuff, this actually might be a very practical thing to do. And you also make organic material that if you do a bunch of times this stuff and extract out the metals, the organic material is safe. Then, in the beginning it's not, but in the end, you've removed it and sold it off. Stuff. Another idea to make this whole idea maybe a little bit better is to have it so that you train people to train robots and AI algorithms to do all the stuff for them. But the people act as like the brains behind these AI algorithms and robots, and they say, pick up this, don't pick up this, and start teaching the robots how to identify what is recycling A or B. And then if you can make that a job for people, you can cause more of a growth in the industry sector, at least temporarily, that employs people. Another idea is to have it so stores and stuff and other centers will pick up items that you use and then fix them up or repair them or resell them. And having more stores and stuff like that could promote more of a recycling economy without having to dump a lot of money into recycling centers. The last final idea is to have it people recycle them stuff themselves more in arts and crafts and stuff like that. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps stand out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours. This is really hard work. You help I can get into it. Also, if you have any of these for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much. Goodbye.